The story of the first lieutenant of the 11th Cavalry. During the Vietnam War. Part 2.
Starting from where we left off, where the two gunners eventually died of their wounds, he goes on to say, "After they were hit, I pulled up beside their damaged assault vehicle and evacuated the wounded soldiers to my vehicle. Then we started working to kill the North Vietnamese on the ground. Before we left the area, we dropped a white phosphorus grenade into the damaged vehicle and burned it down to the tracks. After that, I called in artillery and helicopter gunships. The North Vietnamese started to retreat," Abbott explained. When Abbott and his men rolled into battle in their assault vehicles, with them went Leslie, their mascot. He was a spider monkey who didn't excel in bravery. "If we got in a firefight, Leslie would go down in the bottom of my vehicle, and he wouldn't come out for a couple of days," he explained. "Even without running into the enemy, Vietnam could be a trial," according to Abbott. "One of my biggest problems we had in the jungle were ants. If our assault vehicles hit a tree that had an ant's nest, and it happened to drop into our vehicle, we would vacate," he said. "We'd get out of the assault vehicle and throw DDT in there to kill the ants. We could throw one of our tracks. If that happened, it might take us hours to fix it," Abbott said. "The third thing that happened reasonably often was that one of our vehicles would get stuck in a rice paddy. If that occurred, we would daisy chain several of our vehicles together and use them to pull the stuck track out of the mud. We'd also put a quarter pound of C4 explosives under the stuck vehicle to break the suction of the mud. The explosion wouldn't damage the vehicle, but it would break it loose." During the Tet Offensive in January 1968, Abbott's unit was ordered to Saigon in a hurry. Tet was the enemy offensive where North Vietnamese regulars and Viet Cong guerrillas overran many U.S. military bases and most of the major towns in South Vietnam. It was a military disaster for the North, but at the same time, the enemy won a big political victory, which caused the U.S. to eventually pull out of the war. "When we got the word about Tet, we took our armored vehicles and drove 40 miles nonstop one night to Saigon. If anything got in our way, we ran over them," he said. "This was my first introduction to combat in an urban environment. Gives me a lot of appreciation for our people fighting in Afghanistan."
Part 3 next.